There's two kinds of stuck. The first is a sort of paralysis. You know how it feels. You do the least amount of effort to coast by, a passive participant in your own life. The second is more like spinning in circles. This is when no matter what you do, it seems like you can't make progress. Every day feels like deja vu. Every day feels the same. And even if you do progress, you know it's in a direction you don't want, towards something you don't actually care about. Regardless of which one you're feeling, you know you don't like it and you want out. This video will teach you how to do just that. But first, I want to talk about how you get stuck in the first place. Getting stuck doesn't happen overnight. It's a process that takes months and sometimes even years to happen. Let me explain. So the body has an internal navigation system that's meant to inform our every decision and even our life path. Believe it or not, this system is our emotional system. If that sounds crazy, just suspend your belief for a second and give me a chance to explain. Your emotions are triggered whenever you experience something that takes you out of homeostasis. If that's something you perceive to be positive, then you'll experience a positive emotion. If it's not, then you'll experience a negative one. That sounds obvious, but the important thing to do here is to define you, because it's not based on your rational thinking self, but rather on your ideal self, the self that you know that you're meant to be and become. That's why even though something might seem like a good idea on paper, for example, going for a high-paying job or staying at home because you're an introvert or drinking just one more beer, this doesn't mean it'll always feel good in the end. Because if it's not aligned with your truth and authenticity, then it's not meant for you and therefore it won't feel good to you, even if it's flashy and attractive or comfortable and easy. Again, this isn't to say that these things are necessarily inherently bad, it just means that they're the wrong fit for you. The problem is that most people, probably including you, do things based off what they think looks good on paper. So they either chase jobs and dreams they don't really want, or choose a path of comfort and ease, even when their emotions are giving them every possible warning sign not to. Do this for a few months or years and your options will begin to narrow, doors will begin to shut, and the walls will seem to close in. This is what it means to feel stuck. And that's why you're here watching this video. So without further ado, let me tell you how to finally get unstuck. I promise this won't be another video that tells you to just do it or to lock in or to deal with it and get over it. Because while those things might work for some people, it likely hasn't worked for you. If you watch the whole video, then you'll finally understand why. Hint, it's not because you suck or because you're inherently flawed or because you just haven't done it right. There's something deeper going on. So let go of the self-blame because it isn't helping you either. The first and maybe most important thing you need to do is to find three things: silence, space, and stillness. There's a lot of ways to do this, but they all boil down to one thing: doing nothing, which doesn't mean surrounding yourself with other people or watching Netflix or YouTube or sleeping or self-medicating or reading books on self-help or otherwise. It means literally doing nothing. By doing this, you'll probably experience a lot of intrusive thoughts. Things like you're being lazy, you should be doing something productive, this is stupid, this will never work, or what's even the point? If and when this happens, let it. Let those thoughts come up and just observe them. Don't attach yourself to them. Don't make a whole story out of them. Don't let them mean anything about you or otherwise. Just because you think you're lazy doesn't actually mean you're lazy. Just because you think you should be doing something doesn't actually mean you should be doing something. Just because you think this is stupid and won't work doesn't mean that it is and that it won't. This is just your mind's way of getting you to stop doing something that's making it uncomfortable. It's your mind's way of pulling you back into your old habits, patterns, and cycles because that's what it knows and that's what it's comfortable with. But these cycles are what you're trying to break. You're done spinning in circles, remember? Okay, so you sat down and successfully let your mind wander for an hour, but you don't feel any different. In fact, you might even feel worse. At this point, it's critical that you don't use this as evidence that this was in fact stupid and a waste of time. Instead, remind yourself that this isn't a magic pill, a silver bullet, or a quick hack. For this to work, you have to make it into a habit. You can't just do it once and call it quits, because if it took you years to get to a place where you felt stuck, then getting out is going to take some time too. But trust in the process and know that it is worth your time. Once you get to a place where you're consistent with it, you'll start having insights. But these insights won't come in the form you likely expected. They won't be in the form of a crystal clear voice speaking in your head or some guidance from above. They'll be in the form of old pent-up emotions resurfacing. These are the signs that you previously chose to ignore, preferring to do what you perceive to be most comfortable in the moment instead. Now you'll have two choices: face your emotions or keep ignoring them like you always have. Doing the first will get the ball rolling on your journey to getting unstuck. Doing the second will keep you right where you are, because nothing changes if nothing changes. Assuming you choose the first, know that this part is hard and you aren't flawed for thinking that it is. It can also take some time to work through depending on how much time you've been numbing yourself, how you've been numbing, and what you've been numbing. But it's necessary because it's this that will give you the answers you're looking for. In terms of how to actually do it, the choices are endless. You can journal, you can meditate, or you can simply reflect. You can go to therapy, or you can do somatic practices like yoga, dance, or breath work. You can paint or do some other form of art. Whatever it takes for you to actually acknowledge and work through your emotions, not around them. Personally, I've done most of these and have found success with them at different points of my life. But again, this isn't about what works for me. It's about what works for you. So get curious and start testing things out until you find something or a few things that do. And of course, keep in mind that these can and probably will change throughout time. This is normal and doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you or your process. Also know that anything that comes up is doing so because you're now ready to face it. But if you feel like you can't, then please reach out to a close one or a professional to help you through. This won't make you weaker, it'll make you brave, because it takes strength to be vulnerable. If you've done the work of step 2, then that means that you now know what you have to do to actually feel aligned and stop feeling stuck. So the only thing left to do now is to actually do it. Leave that job, talk to your crush, expand your limits, learn to love and live fully and unapologetically. Otherwise, you risk trading one vicious cycle out for another. Paralysis for rumination, spinning for spiraling. There's two things I wanted you to be fully aware of before diving into the process I've detailed in this video. Number 1, know that even though I've laid it out as such, this process isn't necessarily linear. You don't always have to fully finish one step to be able to move on to the next one. In fact, a lot of times progressing in one step will require that you do the work of another step alongside it. For example, if you get an insight that the reason you always avoid talking to others is because you fear being seen or because you think you're not cool enough, then the only way to stop feeling these emotions is to act in opposition to them. This will make space for other emotions to come up, and so on and so forth. Also, some days will feel like you're going backwards or plateauing. But even though it feels that way, trust that it's all progress and part of the process. Emotions don't work the way logic and rationale do. They don't have an order, a hierarchy, or a timeline. What comes up, and that's okay. Number 2, you can take a break whenever. If you feel like things are going too fast or like you're overwhelmed, then you can stop the process and pick the work back up at a time when you feel ready again. If you do all of the things in this video, then I promise that you'll no longer feel stuck. I know it can seem daunting, especially when the whole process is spelled out in front of you in one go, but I want to emphasize that this process isn't linear. And even though it can take months or years to have full closure, you'll definitely experience points of increased lightness and clarity before then, and you'll slowly start feeling less and less stuck. I know that was the case with me. So try it out. It'll be hard, but it'll also be worth it, because this is the only way to get answers that will be uniquely fitted to you and your situation, which, by the way, is also why when you try to do things that have worked for other people, they don't help. Or maybe they do, but only briefly. If you made it this far into the video, thank you so much for watching. And if you know someone that it could help, then please pass it along. You never know the seeds it could plant.
They pull toward you like a magnet.